Hi, John Wright here again from Wilcom, and today I'm at beautiful Annecy in eastern France, up in the Alps, at the Pont de Mour, an absolutely stunning spot. You know what, actually I'm not, it's a photograph. But I was thinking, if you've got a photograph of somewhere beautiful where you live, or perhaps your workspace, and you'd like it displayed on our videos here, please send me an email and attach the photograph. As high a resolution as you can would be great. We'll see what we can do. Okay, but today's video is about a new fill type called Maze Fill. So here I have a simple circle filled with tatami stitching, and like any other fill, you select the object and choose what fill you want. So let's look at what Maze Fill is. I've just right clicked on the Maze Fill object and it will bring up the properties of Maze Fill and fill the object with the fill at the default settings. And you can see here we've got a 4mm spacing with a stitch length of 2.5 millimeters, and the stitch has got approval to reduce in length to make any tight little turns, and you can see we've got shorter stitches here than we have out where it's a flatter curve. Okay, so the amazing part about this fill type is that it enters and exits the shape and never crosses itself and comes back out to the same point where it started. So you'll notice here we've got a smoothing bar, and all that does is make the calculation quicker. It recalculates the spacing many times over to try and get a smoother effect and a more even spacing between the lines. I've discovered that in using, I like to bring the smoothing bar back to low, and then I can change my settings. And let's have a look, and we'll make a spacing of 2 millimeters, and it'll take a little while to process. And then if it's not as smooth as you would like, move your smoothing bar up. Now it's going to take a moment or so to process this, and quite honestly, in many occasions I haven't noticed. Well, there's a difference, no doubt, but it hasn't made sufficient difference to justify the smoothing out. But anyway, that's what the settings are. You can change the stitch spacing, and you can change the smoothing, and you can make the stitching run clockwise or counterclockwise. So it's fairly easy. There's not much to learn there. It's just simply make a shape with any tool that can create a filled object and apply the maze fill to it. So I thought, let's make it a little more interesting. I looked at this design that Wilcom have been using in their promotion, and I thought, how did they make that maze fill go around all the little shapes here? So I took a closer look at it. The first thing I did was drag that piece away to verify that there is empty space behind these digitized objects. So I looked down into the object list, and I could see there were outlines for each of these flower patterns. So what I'm going to do is select each of them by holding the Control key down while I'm left clicking on them, and then Control D to duplicate them. And what that's done is duplicated each of them, so the originals are still there, and dropped the duplicates to the bottom of the design. Now I intend to use those as a cookie cutter. Now, and you can't use an outline as a cookie cutter, but in the version 4 of the software, and we're using 4.5G now, any vector shape can be a fill or an outline. So with them selected, I'm going to click Tatami Fill. Okay, so there we are. They're all set up to now use as a cookie cutter. I'll just change the color just to make it a little bit easier to recognize them, and move them to the top of the design. So I could use my sequence tool, but I'll just drag them up to the top. And I want to put them in position 1. Okay, now I'll travel back to the beginning of the design. So I'm going to nest a new object before anything else is stitched. The object's simply going to be a square. So I'll use my rectangle tool to create an area of fill. I'll change its color. Okay, so now I've got these objects sitting on top of the filled area. I'll select them all, just so you can see what we've got here. We've got a solid piece of fill. I'll move it back to where it was. I'll select the solid pieces that we just created, go to my Arrange toolbar and remove overlaps. Now it's going to remove their area from whatever is underneath them. And the yellow square has been stitched first, so it's underneath them. And I'm going to reduce my cutting overlap to 0. Normally you would have a cutting overlap of 1 or 2 millimeters, but in this case we don't need it. So I'm going to now delete these objects that I've used as a cutting tool, and you can see that we've got a beautiful cut right around the shape of those objects. Now all that's needed to do is to select that backfill and turn it into a maze fill. So I left clicked. I'll zoom in. Now I want to compare with what was there before, and I can see the spacing in this one was 2 millimeters. So let's select the new one and make it 2 millimeters. Allow the software to process it. And there we've got two identical, almost identical. Mine's got 6,577 stitches and the original 6,326 stitches. So the difference may be that my square's a slightly different size. Okay, so let's select that again and have a look at another advanced element, and we'll go to offsets and outlines, and I'll create an offset of column C to go around our object. I'll make it a nice orange color, and let's, just for the fun of it, make an offset 4 millimeters off, and this time we'll make it a what do we make it? We'll make it a motive run and change its color to purple, or the plum color. Oh, didn't take. Oh, that's right, the plum one, that's correct. So we want to keep the original object. We don't want to put an edge around the internal holes, and I'll make the column width here 2.8. Okay. And there we have, oops, it has for some reason put an edge around the internal holes. No problem, I'll just select them and bleed them. Travel to the beginning of the design. Turn that true view on, and you can see you've got a beautiful pattern around the edge of the embroidery design. And we can now delete this one. I hope you've enjoyed that and you get plenty of time to practice with maze fills. Thanks for watching. Don't forget those photographs. I'll put my email address at the bottom of the blog article. Catch you next time. Bye.